We forgot to ask who AI was supposed to be smart for. 10 years of making it faster, more powerful. Is it working? Yes, okay, we're back to it. And the question of who it was actually serving barely made into the brief. Since ChatGPT launched in 2022, we've heard endlessly about augmented human beings. How many times have you heard about an augmented society? For the past few years, teams have become more productive, deliverables ships faster, individuals are more autonomous. And yet, if you ask those same teams what has changed in the way they work together, many will tell you that something had been lost. Not in the actual outputs, but in the fabric of human relationships. We were sold a revolution, and yes, it is one, just not maybe the one we think. This is not a technological revolution, this is a human revolution, one that is redefining how we think, how we behave, how we work, how we learn, how we interact with one another, and at the core of it, what values guide us to ensure that we remain human. And that revolution hasn't really begun. Because we actually asked the wrong question. We actually asked, how can AI make each individual more productive? What we never asked was, what is it doing to the collective in the meantime? That is not a criticism. It's actually, what we've done is actually optimizing what we're supposed to optimize. The problem is what the brief never really included. There is a law in behavioral economics that says when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. This is named the Goodhart law. It's actually everywhere. If you look at it, if you look at productivity, for instance, if we measure productivity by hours worked, everyone stays late in the office. If we measure engagement by the number of Slack messages, you might have actually your Slack on fire. The numbers keeps on going up. The actual value does not necessarily follow. AI amplifies this mechanism at a groundbreaking scale. It optimizes what is measurable: execution speed, individual output, autonomy. What it does not measure is actually disappearing from the equation. And Juliana actually talked about it. We talked about trust. Trust is the first thing, shared meaning, intrinsic motivation. Not by intention, but because it was actually never in the brief. Studies are beginning to document the real cost of this. If you take, for instance, a first study back in January 2026 on knowledge worker, the study showed that collaboration with AI improves its engagement over a short-term period. However, the same study identifies that there is a collaboration paradox. So if you take this study and you take it into the longer horizon, intrinsic motivation erodes, well-being deteriorates, and fatigue sets in. There is another HBR analysis that goes further. Overall team performance declines after AI integration. This is Goodhart's law at scale, at human scale. We optimized what we're supposed to optimize, which is the measure, and we degraded what it was meant to represent. Humans' relationships are difficult. They involve friction. Think about misunderstandings. Think about conflicting needs. Think about the actual work of repairing bonds. That friction is not a flaw in the fabric of human relationships. It is what weaves it. AI is designed to eliminate that friction. Interactions are smooth, non-judgmental, and free of any expectations of reciprocity. That is its true value proposition. There is a professor of MIT named Sherry Turkle that said precisely that by seeking to design perfect AI companions, we actually embark on a journey towards forgetting what it means to be human. So now let's look at the results of that at the team level. We have now a star-shaped networks where AI occupies the center, but where peer-to-peer connection is, well, actually the connections where you can find trust, innovation, resilience actually dissolve. Various analyses of enterprise platform are documenting right now a massive decline in colleague-to-colleague interactions in favor of centralized requests to AI. At the society level, what it means, a system designed to constantly validate the user's individual's belief does not build shared reality. It actually fragments it, as you were saying. There is a former French minister in the 1800s named Alexis Tocqueville, and what he said that, and he identified that the capacity to associate and to build shared meaning is the beating heart of living democracies. And we were talking about democracies right before. So if we all believe in democracy and in our humanity, which I hope we all do, we do need to deliberately design AI for the good of the collective, and not only design it, but adopt it for the good of the collective. Today, I wanted to share with you two of the projects that I actually launched recently. And in these two projects, I tested new approaches in how I teach AI and how I actually use AI in my platforms. So the first project that you actually see on the left happened in January 2026 in Casablanca, Morocco. I was asked to train 100 students and NEETs. So NEETs are young people not in education, employment, or training. And I was asked to train them on AI for 2 weeks. I could have decided to do a simple program where the focus was on providing dozens of tools and exercises and methodologies, and then the idea was would have been to aim for individual adoptions that would have answered their individual needs. Instead, even though this approach would have been fast, measurable, it would have been collectively useless. So what I decided to do is to take like another approach and to use AI as a lever for a shared project and not as a personal tool. So what we've done together with these students is that we actually decided to have a training focused on building an entrepreneurial project in groups. The constraint of that project was that they had to find solutions to solve a real problem in their local environment. Most of the students, except for ChatGPT, never used any of the tools that they were supposed to use during the training. So it was kind of funny. However, what we saw is that during these 2 weeks, what happened was not only a technological adoption. What happened is that they articulated what they already knew collectively, together. So they used AI as a tool to make the solution come to life, but most of all, what they've done, they actually built trust, build real relationships with their teammates, and most importantly, they regained confidence in themselves. In the second project that you see on the right, with InterSkillar's mentoring platform, the guiding question was, how does AI strengthen the mentor-mentee relationships without claiming to replace it? Think about, for instance, a development plan that you need to build for a mentee. Should it be AI, or should we leave it to AI to make the plan? So you come, you set the goals, and AI will magically generate the plan? Or is it the role of the mentor-mentee relationship, or the mentor and the mentee, to build it together first, and then use AI to maybe improve it, or make suggestions to make it more efficient? So what we decided to do is that AI scope, or AI was only going to deliver the content. The platform would organize the path, and the mentor helps the mentee reflect, apply, and grow. So technology was not at the center of these two projects. The relationship was. I wanted to end slowly but surely this keynote with 3 questions for you guys today. The first one is, what does the system do to the fabric of human relationship? And was that in the brief? The second question is, was this technology designed for the real user or the imagined user? And the distance between the two is actually the measure of the blind spot between what we see and what we feel in terms of the real field experience that we actually have. The third one is, does the system train the muscles of the collective or atrophies them? This is not an ethical question, this is a resilience question. A team that no longer knows how to solve problems together will certainly be faster in familiar situations. However, it will be more fragile in new ones. So, technology, AI, but humanity and human beings. The crisis we are facing is not about the machines. It's about us. What we will choose to measure, what we will choose to optimize, what we will choose to stop leaving out of the brief. What is at stake is a human revolution. What it becomes is a question of what we choose to value. Thank you very much.
That was a great presentation. Would you agree with the statement that we have a window of opportunity to make sure that AI supports us instead of us supporting AI?
Not sure.
Okay.
No, I don't think that, specifically when I work with a lot of companies, SMEs, institutions, we look at it in the way we frame our prompts. We are starting to speak in their language, while AI was supposed at first to speak our language. Mm-hmm. So we are shifting in the way we are approaching AI. So instead of actually supporting our singularity, we tend to, all of us, go towards a more standardized approach. So I think it goes in the opposite way right now.
Thank you so much. Will you be around later on? I think you said a couple of very interesting impulses. I could imagine that the one or the other would have an interest to talk to you. So feel free to reach out to Leïla. I think that's an interesting discussion to have. And it's way away from the usual technology discussion we have in this group of people. So that was really interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.